Hello, I'm Will Tiao, the producer of the film Formosa Betrayed. We're doing a series of video blogs to talk about the behind the scenes of how we made the film. Today we have with us the director of the film and one of the producers, Adam Kane.
Hey everybody.
I'm going to be asking him a few questions, some of them that were sent to us from fans, and I thought we'd just start off with asking Adam how you got involved with the project.
Well, I knew one of the producers on the film, Dave Cluck, who had discussed making the movie with Will, and had met Will several years ago before the film really got its final screenplay in order. And I had been asked to read several drafts of it because it was a complicated political drama. And through the process, Will and Dave had hired a few other directors, and I had given my input on the script because it is a complicated issue and a series of issues, and they wanted to make sure that with their thoughts and their ideas being so closely interwound into the script, that an outside perspective was consulted so that the audience might have a fresh perspective on this very complicated piece of material. So I kept reading drafts along the way, and through a series of events, the directors that they had worked with didn't work out, and I thought that there was a way to make the script a little more accessible to audiences, and so I contacted Will and Dave, and we sat down one day and discussed my ideas, and we all agreed to work together. So it was through a process of 3 or 4 years, no, not that long, it was actually 2 or 3 years, that I had been reading drafts of the script, that I had known about the project, but hadn't really been considering even in my own mind to be a director until I had woken up one day before Christmas in 2007 and had a thought about the character of me.
So, talk to us about why you were attracted to this material. I'm sure you've been offered a lot of different movies. What made you decide to direct this film?
I've always been attracted to films like The Killing Fields and The Year of Living Dangerously, films that had important social issues that were embedded within a piece of entertainment, because like Will, this is something that we've talked about a lot, I believe that film is one of the most powerful and global pieces of communication that one can use to get out a message. So whether you're making a drama or a comedy or a political thriller like we have with Formosa Betrayed, I think that a film like that can reach many different countries with many different people speaking different languages across the globe. And so for me, to be able to wrap up a series of cultural and social issues like we talked about in Formosa Betrayed, and unearth a piece of history to the Western culture that really we don't know anything about in this country. The history of what's happened to Taiwan, primarily since World War II and up to present day, and be able to shine a light on the kinds of events that have suppressed a democratic and free voice. To Americans, that's a very, very interesting story, and I think that a lot of us who are politically active in this country and have a perspective on the world and are interested in world events would be shocked and amazed to hear about the history that had been previously pretty much buried in this country. And even now, with what's happening with our present political and social landscape, with President Obama approving a pretty significant arms package deal to Taiwan, and seeing in the media and the news China's response, you can see all of the issues at play, even now today, with what we talk about in the movie Formosa Betrayed.
One of the questions that we got asked to ask you was, you were a director of photography, a cinematographer for almost 20 years, and this is your first feature film. So what was the difference between being a cinematographer and being a director?
Well, being a cinematographer, you have the responsibility and the creative license to create compositions with the director, to create the mood of the piece with lighting, and to be able to help guide the storytelling primarily with those two aspects of the movie. And being a cinematographer on the film is what we call a crew head or a crew chief. It's a central lieutenant of the film director. If the director is thought of in military terms as the general, let's say, of this massive army of people, that includes the director of photography, which is another name for the cinematographer, or the production designer who creates all the look of the sets and the costume designer, which is, of course, who deals with the wardrobe that people wear. The director of photography fills in a very important a part of that, in the cog of that wheel, as it incorporates all those other things I just talked about. Of course, when you photograph something, you're photographing actors in wardrobe, in sets, and so it's a very important part of the photographic process of making a film. But when you're a director, you're overseeing all of those departments. And so you have to take a very global view, and it's important that you hire people that you trust, who you believe have the artistic value that is going to bring success to your project. And you have to monitor it as such and let people bring their creative input and ideas into the project. And that's one of the fun things about directing for me is, even since I've been doing short films and television and features, they all have the same kind of process. And when you have wonderful, wonderful people that you're working with, and they bring ideas to the project that you would have never thought of as a director, then you're able to take advantage of all that great talent and be able to make decisions that molds it into the final fabric that makes the final movie. And so for me, working with a director of photography on Formosa, who is the really, really talented cinematographer Irek Hardowich, who works with Steven Spielberg shooting Second Unit on some of his movies, and works with Spielberg's cinematographer Janusz Kaminski on commercials as Janusz's cinematographer. Being able to work with Irek in that capacity with a really skilled artist, somebody who's really, really mature and understands world political issues and policies, because he's very traveled and is very interested in these kinds of stories. It was a great luxury for me to be able to mine all that talent out of people like Irek and put it into the movie. And a lot of people ask me, was it hard for you to give up some of your own control and your opinions as a DP, which is short for director of photography? And for me, it's not hard for me to let go at all, because with whatever knowledge that I bring to the table, I'm able to have a creative discussion with the people that I work with, and I get the final decision anyways. And so ultimately, for me, I'm able to take all that great knowledge with all these people, and as the director, be able to guide the ship in the right direction. So for me, it's a great joy to find those people like Irek and be able to make a movie like Formosa.
Well, we're almost out of time, so I want to ask one last question. Someone also emailed us, which was, can you give us a story about something that happened on set that maybe you kind of unique compared to all the other films and other television projects that you may have done?
Well, one night we were shooting in Bangkok, which I'm sure you remember well, and we were in Bangkok in a time when there's a lot of rain. It was during the rainy season. We were shooting the alley exterior scene where Jake comes out of the back part of the hotel, and he meets with Mei Sing after they have an encounter in the hotel room. And we were shooting at night in Bangkok, and it started to rain. And it just didn't start to rain, it started to pour. It was raining buckets. And so much so that in the alleyway there were cockroaches that came out of the woodwork and were crawling up the walls by the hundreds in order to escape the flooding water. And it was one of the most sort of startling and weird kind of life events that you'll ever have, because you're in an alleyway and the cockroaches weren't really there before. They were kind of hidden away in their own little homes, but the rain brought them out, and there were just thousands trying to escape, and run for their lives. And that was one of those things where you're kind of sitting there in this warm, beautiful rain. It's not cold, and it's raining for 2 hours, 3 hours, and you can't shoot because it's raining. And you're just sitting there going, well, this is Mother Nature at work, and I guess we just have to sit this one out. And I hadn't really had an experience like that on another movie. That was a life changer for sure.
Yeah, I remember that evening, definitely. Well, thank you, Adam, so much for coming in and doing this.
Thank you.
We're going to be doing more video blogs with other actors and key staff members of Formosa Beat Trade. Next up will be the actress Leslie Hope, who played Detective Lisa Gilbert. So we look forward to seeing you soon. Thank you, Adam, again.
Thank you, Will. Talk to you soon.